You realize that an agreement can be signed among four of the members. That is, somebody can be cut off. Not everyone. They cannot be cut off because they invited you here. The mayor cannot be cut off because he hosted, but you can be cut off. What you see behind me is one of the groups, and what they're doing now is this is the middle in the early planning session. What they're trying to do is see if they understand the same role the same way. So they exchange views about the goals, about the means, about the priorities, about the preferences, and from this process they try to come up with one single strategy that they will implement in the negotiation that will start in earnest next week. What I'm going to do, I'm going through all the groups that are dealing with the early planning, and I am being the devil's advocate. I ask them questions. I would like to see if they understood the meaning, the symbolism of the instructions that they receive. If they understand not only the text, the dry instruction that they receive, but especially the context. Not only the lines that they have in front of them, but between the lines, if they can see the little nuances, the little emphasis that I've sprayed around there in order to really understand the responsibility on their hands. So now I'm going to hop in between all the groups and ask them those questions. Having this, on the same blackboard, to see it together in one perspective is very, very beneficial. Good idea. No, I believe you. But you should be ready for the occasion that your assumption about allies would be totally the opposite, right? Mm-hmm. You have to think in various dimensions. So do you think you have natural allies here?
Yeah, that's what we were actually talking about, because one of the key things is that we talked about like how there had to be 4 out of 5 parties that agree on something, but some parties have more say in the matter than others.
True.
In terms of what their position is. So people usually at a lower position tend to become allies.
Get into the head of the other roles as well. What do they want? What are their priorities and preferences, and how can you help them, and how can they help you? And most of negotiation is on the symbolic, psychological level. If you are able to convey impression rather than actual reality, you are for a good start. But make sure that you know and anticipate what the impression of others might be. Every move that you make, try to see how others might perceive of this and what their reaction may be.
And we don't have a hostile. We're not hostile towards any of these.
No, we have
that moderation.
This is
going for us.
So what you're doing now, you're doing rationalization of the process, but many parts of the negotiation are not so rational. Absolutely. So take it under consideration and always expect the unexpected. There are teams or roles that are relatively more expendable and they can be cut. The thing is, whether this is the regular situation or are these dynamic situations, and when the negotiation proceeds, other groups becomes more vulnerable to be cut off. This is what you have to look forward to predict what kind of changes, shifting circumstances would make certain groups more vulnerable than others. And those who are more vulnerable, of course, will have more desire to have allies as soon as possible. Don't rule out actors that you might think no chance of finding common ground with them. Look deeper. Remember the tree of interest that we dealt with? Look down to the roots. There might be some common ground you may find with the most surprising actors. All right? Creativity. Be creative.
What is the end goal of the Environmental League?
To get us to basically never build, because they want to protect the entire environment.
Well, why don't they want to build?
Because they want the beaches and all the little fish and all the animals and the little plants that live there to stay there.
Come on, like think big picture. Why?
That is the big picture.
What's the big picture is they want an environment that's better than how they left it, how they found it. They want to leave the environment better than how they
So that
found it.
means no point.
Not necessarily. If that's the end goal, then everything in between doesn't matter as long as we reach it within a reasonable time frame. So, with that being said, what can we do to do whatever the hell we want building the thing, but also aid in their goal of restoring the environment?
It says in like one of the last pages, it says that in the license request, DWI, its initial proposal or its request says that there's unlimited industrial mix with significant ecological damage, a $3 billion government loan, and no preference to the union
They
members.
want nothing, yeah.
So
They
like
don't
we
want
could
to
get
see-
union members on our side then, because by saying that they don't care
And no
about
compensation to the other
anything.
boards. I mean, really, they're making enemies right off the bat.
There's could be nothing left to protect. There's could be no reason for clean ships because we already killed everything off by building. Like our significant damage is going to kill everything off. There's going to be no point in a clean ship because we just killed everything already.
So you're saying that the damage that we'll be doing is catastrophic.
That's what their vantage point definitely is going to be.
Because they said it already, the ecological system's pretty damaged. So we can show images of how bad it already is, and then the potential of how bad it could become and how that affects the industry that's already there. So fishing and how that affects the food industry.
We're going to shoot for total damage and then recuperation that will eventually, yes, maybe it's catastrophic, but we're going to argue that it's not. It may be significant, but nowhere in here does it say that we will completely kill the environment. We're just going to damage it significantly.
That's going to be their vantage point though. That's when we
Yeah,
have to
I agree.
refute with them that we're going to be complying with all the laws that already protect the environment. So
Yeah.
saying that it's going to be this damaging is an over dramatic statement because we are following the laws. The laws are put there for a reason.
Yeah, good. So let's put that in there too, that we're of course never going to break a law. And we are going to, so we're already being regulated. And so instead of regulating us more and denying economic progress, we're going to create a sustainable advantage for them.
It's always a solid ground to fall back on if you are cut off.
Yep.
Okay? And always bring your emotional baggage to the negotiation table. Everybody needs to know how concerned and worried you are from the situation. That's how it should be. Now you know who you got behind you, right? You're the Greens. Your population is with you. The public opinion is with you.
The environmental impact is by far, looking at this, the most influential on the other players. So we want to do the most to make them happy. And like the example you give, if you give in completely to one thing, you can create value somewhere else. So
Do you think the labor union is going to be happy? So one of the leverages that you have is tell everyone else that if you piss us off, we'll bring the people here, masses, to the factory gates, so to speak, and they will chain themselves to the doors. They don't want to see such publicity. Right, you don't have them here, you don't have the masses downstairs, but you have links to them. You have telephone numbers. So use this as a threat. What is your alternative? If they don't go along with you, what will you do?
Then we're going to go for partial avoidance.
yeah.
You're
That
gonna cave,
would be-
that's what you're saying.
Yes, if they're going to say, they're going to, all right, listen, we are going to monitor all the whole way through, and if we come across this extreme hazard that's going to damage the environment so much, we'll find an alternative solution. So we're going to monitor it the whole time.
Do you see eye to eye with the interests and preferences of the labor union?
For the most part, except for the fact that we don't want a preference for union members. And we're going to say, and here's the thing, why do we have, and I said this to the group, why does a labor union exist? One, leverage to ensure what? The correct treatment of labor unions and to ensure price fairness. And to ensure jobs. right? We don't want anyone getting fired and whatnot. And we're going to argue, and one of the things that we're still trying to get our head around because we still haven't been able to do it, is say, A, we are going to use progressive practices, and we're going to make sure that we're in line with all the industry standards, and if we should dip below it, we will conduct investigations. But
You
beyond
understand what
that-
it means?
What?
You understand what it means?
What it is?
That you're not allowing the heavy stuff coming into your harbor. This brings the most money, the most income.
Oh, okay.
That's a
Yeah.
loss of several $1 million, so don't be too lighthearted in giving that out. You want to make them happy, but mostly you want to make yourselves happy. How can you find a common ground for happiness? Yes.
With the labor union, were you asking? With the labor, we all have the same end goal with the labor unions. We have the same basic ideas in mind. Oh, we want to protect our workers. We want people employed. We want them to make wages. That's the same thing they want. That's the common ground. At the end of the day, we both just want people employed with wages
That's
treated rightly.
philosophy rather than negotiation. What they want specifically is a majority of union members
For
in
that,
your
yes.
factory. You cannot allow this because that means that they can shut the factory if you raise the prices of drinks in your cafeteria.
Yes.
You cannot allow this.
So-
I'm just pointing out
Yes.
some prospective difficulties.
That's their bargaining chip, is like saying, sign this and we'll give you some money. If they're basically the other ports, the COP is getting like paid off to let this happen.
Yeah.
If you look at it in terms
But
of that,
what
like
would
they
be
get
our
nothing
bargains
else.
to the labor union if we were to send them? I don't see what we can offer.
Their families are the
people that
live there.
Exactly. And
They are the
also-
people that live there.
Also, like, if we ask for more cleanup, that means more jobs.
More
If
jobs.
we ask for all these different
Oh.
technologies to help with, the cleaner technology, that we need more people.
There's the
More
bargaining chip
people
right
who
there.
know stuff about that.
So do you want to
So-
talk through some scenarios?
What if we took a hit on union preference?
Well,
Mhm.
I think if we take a hit on industrial and ecological, that'll make
Well,
the
ecological.
environmental will be happy. That'll make the Department of Industry happy, and we could probably get a pretty good amount of money out of them. If we limit to mid-level, then the other ports are still getting heavy. We could probably manage to dwindle them down to giving them less money
Mhm.
in, reparation cost, compensation, maybe even nothing. I don't know if we'll get that far, but we could
For
at least,
nothing
if we
for
could
what?
at least
Compensation.
no compensation. It would at least become like a more viable option. I don't know if we'd be able to reach it, but it's something that could.
Is the compensation subtracted from the loan we get from the government? Because here it says
Yeah.
provided we get so like depending on how much we get from the government.
Because here it says the government loan is significant for us and we're supposed to try and get as big of a loan as we possibly can. So if they gave us like the biggest loan, what is it, like 3 billion? Does that mean that it's already, like it's automatically killed? Because they gave us all the money? I'm confused.
I think they can kill it if we get a loan. If we manage to get a loan that big, then they can say that it's way too much money and they can just kill the project.
So should that be our goal? Is
Yeah,
it
so I think
this
that
loan?
should be to get, I think our main goal then should be to get them to kill the project entirely.
If we get mid-level, partial avoidance, 1-to-1, 3 billion, and which one did I do? 300 million, then we end up with 90 points.
90 points?
It's 15 plus 15 plus 15, 45. Then, so we get 45 from getting mid-level, partial, and 1-to-1. 45 points right there. Then what do we want? Say we go for 30. We go for the $3 billion loan.
How does it affect us? Like,
Let
what
me
is
read that,
better
actually.
for us? Is a 1 billion better for us?
No,
Or like
I think
3
the more
billion?
money we get, the more you
The
can
better.
say, okay, you have more money, you can
Oh.
afford to have, this is like the better.
Yeah, no, the light and mid-level. So more money channeled to DWI allows more profit leverage with mid-level and light industrial mix. So we can get our light industrial mix if the loan is up. And that's how we argue that. We say it's better for the environment, it'll be more sustainable for your whole entire endeavor here. Yeah.
Yeah, to see how it goes.
But then, so then it's more money will also permit the purchasing of distillation and refinement installations, which will reduce pollution. We want the most money. And we can make a business case for it. Like, we could say, like, I'm gonna probably do some of that later, even though I have so much other stuff to do.
So we say, hey, look, you could get $600 million from us, or we can pay you nothing, but we're not gonna let other people build around us in heavy industries, but they'll take their business to you, and you'll have a sustainable advantage for long-term prospects.
How mid-level it is.
No, like light.
But like, then we're not getting the
Light,
government loan.
Yeah, then the Department.
Are you sure about that?
Because
Department of
think about it,
Industry-
we're losing billions of trillions of
Because-
dollars by taking out mid-level and
Yeah.
heavy machinery.
Threatens
government?
it threatens
The
our
government-
money-making
think about the
ability.
way a
And
bank
the government's
works.
not gonna give us a
Yeah,
big
they want
loan
more
because
money
they,
coming in.
because they want a success story. And if they don't think we're gonna make money, they're not gonna give us any.
Think
We're
about
gonna
the
make
way.
money. The industrial mix is the development surrounding the port, right?
All right, but that's part of everything we're building. We're not just building physical port. We're building like the deep
They'll also
water.
make the labor.
Read what the plan is. The plan is not just to build a physical port. It's to build the whole area. That's our 20-year
Why is it
goal.
worth less points? It's
I don't
just
think we
because
should
you-
be focusing about the point value so much as to what we're getting out of it.
I'm just trying to say, what can we get? How can we maximize everyone's points? You know what I'm saying?
Mid-level is the best way. I'm not going down to light for sure because we're
Light,
not.
We're not gonna get it.
Our
Alright,
business
so we
is
go-
gonna
light
fail
works
to
with the
light.
Department of Industry and the labor.
Okay, so we go mid. The reason why I was advocating for light is because we make the ecological people happy, but money is more important.
So let's make an action plan then. Like, what do you wanna,
So let's just put this on a Google Doc and just, we can
you wanna
just.
type up your, like, whatever notes you have?
And we have each other's email, so we like.
Yeah, I sent out the Google Doc.
Yeah.
I know this might sound stupid, but I'm gonna like make some of these like mock like materials just so we have them.